Hello everyone and welcome back to some more Warhammer Underworlds for the channel, and today the Crimson Court are going up against the Headsman's Curse. I know I've heard the expression trying to get blood out of a stone, but today we're going to try and see if vampires can get blood out of spooky ghosts. I'm not entirely sure if that makes any logical sense, but whatever. It's an extrapolation for gameplay purposes. So, Crimson Court on the table again to give them a go. Let's take a look at both sides and get things underway. So we saw the Crimson Court on the table for the first time last video, being led by Prince Duval. They also have Anais Curseborn. Then we have Velis von Fane, who I think I was calling Von Fair, interchangeably. It is Von Fane, I'll try and remember for the purposes of narration this time. And then Gorath the Enforcer on the end there. They start each round by gaining one hunger token. If they kill someone, they can remove hunger tokens. If they ever end an activation without hunger tokens, they inspire and can do some nasty stuff, and we might see some more vampire magic this time rather than just the one. Oh, incidentally, just apologies for sounding a bit congested. I'm a little bit ill at the moment, so I can tell by my voice I sound congested. But Warhammer Underworlds is fun and quite quick to film, so we're fitting it in. And of course we have the Headsman's Curse, the Headless Horseless Headsman's Curse, again with the Wielder of the Blade, the Scriptor of the Sentence, the Bearer of the Block, and the Sharpener of the Blade at the end there, the little ghost. They can come back. They want to execute people that have been marked for death by the Scriptor, and if at any time they have 3 or more condemned counters, which they collect from their marked targets, more or less. There's some other ways, I think, from memory. They'll inspire and stay inspired, I think. And that's about it. Your standard stereotypical undead. For some reason they're going to bleed for the vampires today. We'll get set up and be back at the start of the game to look at the objectives. So both sides are deployed, already done the roll off, and the Headsman's Curse will be going first in the first round, but we've got to look at where the objectives are and flip them to see what is where. So this is objective number 5 in the Crimson Court's territory, as is objective 4. Riding No Man's Land is objective 2. Up here is objective 3, which means objective 1 is right down here next to the Scriptor and the Bearer of the Block. So I think that about covers everything. Let's jump into the first of 3 rounds and see how this plays out. So it was a simple enough activation to get the game started. The Sharpener of the Blade activated for the Headsman's Curse and just did a move action to get onto objective 3 there, and couldn't or didn't do anything else with his turn. No power cards being played by either side either, so it's over to the Crimson Court. First activation for the Crimson Court was Prince Duval himself. All the vampires are very fast, if you remember from last time, their movement 4 base. So he ran down here with the move action, and then you'll see that there is a spell die there. That's because Dark Glamour was played in the power phase, which we did see last time. It needed the lightning bolt symbol to cast. He is only a level 1 caster, and he got the whirl symbol instead. So unfortunately it did not cast. So a failure there. He was trying to give a move token to one of the others. Regardless of that happening, Helping Hands was played by the Headsman's Curse, which affects their next activation. In the first attack action made by a friendly fighter, in the next activation he's considered to be supported by 1 additional friendly fighter. So if he had none, he counts as 1, if he had 1, he counts as 2, etc. Well, the Headsman's Curse did not take advantage of that and benefit very well. Activating the Scriptor of the Sentence, he did a charge action to come round the impassable scenery there to see Prince Duval. Attacked at range with the Furious Indictment and needed hammers or single supports because of the card played, and got double supports, so no defense roll required. He whiffed. Now, regardless of him missing, that still puts a condemned token on Prince Duval, so that he'll give that up if he manages to get taken out by someone else, because the Scriptor kind of fumbled the ball there. Oh, and sorry, in the power phase of that activation, Mighty Strike was played by the Crimson Court. I don't think we saw this last time. +1 damage to the first attack action made by a friendly fighter in the next activation. Let's see if their version of the card makes more use for them than the Headsman's Curse version did. Gorath the Enforcer initiated a charge action, moving 4 from where he started over here to where you can see him, and attacking the Bearer of the Block with his, what weapon is he using again? Soulbound Mace. Needing hammers, he got a crit and a hammer. So it would normally do 2 damage. He was looking for dodges, but just got a single support. But because of that card, Mighty Strike, it did 3 instead. He's still alive though, I think, because the Bearer of the Block has 4 health. So he's hanging in there with 1 health remaining. The Bearer of the Block chose to activate as the third of 4. for the Headsman's Curse, doing a charge onto Objective 1 and attacking Prince Duval. Rolling 2 dice, needing hammers with his bearer's block. Got a hammer, but it was successfully blocked because Duval was looking for shields, so no damage. Fellas von Fane activated for the Crimson Court next, doing a move up from where she started, down here onto Objective 5, and then in the power phase, Bestial Transformation was being played on Curseborn, which is the other one who hasn't activated yet. Choose one friendly fighter, it shall be him. Discard that fighter's upgrades, doesn't have any. His range 1 attack actions gain Cleave and Ensnare, so they ignore the dodge and shield results as successes. They have Quarry, which is, or makes everyone a Quarry, which I think is just for the purposes of objective cards, and it persists until such time as he's given an upgrade or until he's killed. So it's not an upgrade in the truest sense, so you don't have to spend glory to equip it or anything, but we'll keep it next to his card because it acts like that until one of those conditions is met to discard it. Well, not a great showing for the first round for the Headsman's Curse. The wielder of the blade did a charge from up there to go after Prince Duval there. Got a double support. He would have had a single success, or a single support would have been a success rather, and he was looking for hammers. So of course he rolled swords. So that big sword missed the vampire as he dodged it deftly out of the way. And final activation of the first round, a nice Curseborn did a move action and just moved back onto Objective 4 there, for the purposes of scoring some objectives in the end phase, so not doing anything else this turn. So at the end of a rather brisk turn 1 where not much happened except the bearer of the block getting knocked upside the head by a vampire wielding a mace, the only objective cards being scored is 1 each. Death's Domain is scored by the Crimson Court, worth 2 glory there. Score this in the end phase if your warband holds all objectives in 1 or more players' territories, presumably that includes their own, and they do hold the only objectives in their own. 2 is in no man's land, so that's in nobody's. So hopefully that's correct, and that is worth 2 glory to them. The Headsman's Curse is scoring Judge Lest Ye Be Judged for 1 glory. Score this in the end phase if each surviving friendly fighter has 1 or more move and or charge tokens, which is true. So it's 2 playing 1, not exactly a bombastic score, as we go into the setup for the second round. So as we start the second round, it's going to be the Crimson Court activating first, but all that glory is being spent on upgrades, so we're just going to cover that now. Mirror Duelist, which we did see last time for the Crimson Court, is being spent for Velis, so that's going to be on her. She always counts as being supported by herself. Deathly Majesty, which I don't think we saw last time, is being played. That's on Duval only. It means -1 die from adjacent fighters' attack actions that target him specifically to a minimum of 1. So that makes him a lot more defensible. And Cackling Nightmare is being equipped to the Scriptor, which, long and short of that one is, if he does his range 3 attack, which is his Condemn attack that he did earlier, he can do another one for free. It's to spread out those Condemn tokens nice and quick. So that is on him. And with that, to the Crimson Court's first activation. So Duval activated and just stayed where he was to attack the bearer of the block to finish him off. Rolling 3 dice, needing hammers. He got 2 hammers and a double support, which wouldn't have done anything. But that was enough that the shield that was rolled doesn't do anything, and he was looking for dodge anyway. So that did 2 damage, meaning that the bearer of the block is out of there for 1 glory, and also a 2nd glory, because Crimson Hounds scores. Score this immediately after an activation in which a friendly fighter made an attack action that targeted an enemy fighter adjacent to 1 or more other friendly fighters. He was adjacent to Gorath as well, so that was where the other glories came from, so they're up to 4 against 1. So you might notice a familiar Chain Rasp being back on the field. For the Headsman's Curse, the Sharpener of the Blade activated and just did a move action to come down here. That was because doing so met the criteria to score Gather a Crowd for 1 glory. Score immediately after an activation step if 3 or more friendly fighters are within 2 hexes of the same enemy. 3 are all within 2 of Duval there, so that is 1 glory for that. Then, in the power phase, they played You Must Serve. You bring back a Chain Rasp. Everyone has the Chain Rasp keyword except the wielder of the blade. You bring them back, and then if you have 4, i.e. your maximum strength, you make them vulnerable, which means they have 1 health remaining. So the bearer of the block is back, but he's 1 hit away from death again. I did forget to mention, but with Duval killing him, he got rid of his hunger, and because you can drink a ghost's blood, I guess. So at the end of the round, he will inspire. Anais Curseborn was the 2nd activation for the Crimson Court, doing a move action from where he was, 4 forwards to over there, doing nothing else but spending 1 glory to equip himself with Vampiric Might, which is going to cancel out the Bestial Transformation, because it's an upgrade card, but it seems better in the long run because at the top of the next round, any of the vampires who are still alive and who have not inspired are going to get bloodthirsty, is that what it's called? Bloodlust, because they're going to have 3 hunger tokens. So this is actually going to make him exceptionally dangerous, because if a bloodthirsty character has this upgrade, they get +2 damage to their basic attacks, and on a crit, attack actions on a critical if this fighter has blood. Oh right, it has to be a crit to get the +2 damage. Fair enough, but it's not quite as good as I thought it was then. But it is still pretty good, and even if they aren't bloodthirsty, it still gives you +1 as well. The scripter of the sentence once again tried to hurry things along here for the Headsman's Curse, especially making use of that Cackling Nightmare upgrade that he got last time. So he did his basic range 3 attack on Gorath down here, but then he was allowed to do another one, which he did on Curseborn up there. That's why there's 2 sets of dice. Whiffed on Gorath, because that's just the way it's going for them so far. Today it's not been a good game for the Headsman's Curse. Did get a hit on Curseborn though, which he failed to dodge because he was looking for dodges, so that did do 2 damage to him. More importantly though, it gives each of them a condemned token regardless of if it does damage, and that scored quick to judge. You only would have needed to hit one of them for this to score, for the record, because Duval has a condemned token already, but it scores if there is still a friendly leader and 2 or more enemies have condemned tokens. So that has scored, and then that glory is also being spent on Chilling Grasp, and that is being given to the scripter of the sentence, because you can't give it to the wielder of the blade, which would have been the ideal pick, but sadly he can't have it because he doesn't have the Chain Rasp keyword. Bella's Von Fane activated, I've forgotten again, Fane activated, and did a charge, charging forwards 4 to here, and then doing a charge attack action against the scripter of the sentence, getting a crit and a support. The support was a success as well because of her upgrade, and he did not defend against it, so he took 2 damage of his 3 health. Regardless of her doing that, just her moving there though, at the end of her activation, scored preternatural speed, which is score immediately after an activation if each surviving friendly fighter is in enemy territory, which they are. They're all out of the no man's land in their own territory there. Super simple activation for the Headsman's Curse. The Sharpener of the Blade did exactly what his namesake says, used up his action to activate Sharpen the Blade of the wielder of the blade, and then did nothing else. That means it's going to do +1 damage, which puts it at a massive 4. On the poor little Sharpener of the Blade, that's the last thing he's going to do, because the final activation of round 2 for the Crimson Court was Gorath the Enforcer, or Gorath, sorry. He did a charge action to run round the impassable terrain here, to come in at the back of the Sharpener, got a crit, which obviously was not defended against, he needed a dodge anyway. So he did 3 damage I think. Well, either way he's got 2 health. So the Sharpener of the Blade is out of there for 1 glory, putting the Crimson Court up to 6, and also meaning that Gorath the Enforcer will be inspiring at the end of the turn, assuming he's alive, because all the vampires have 4 health, so if the wielder of the blade could just actually land a hit, he could kill any one of them. Oh man, you hate to see it. The Headsman's Curse, they're playing against the dice, and the dice don't like them. The wielder did a charge to go after Gorath because Duval's got that upgrade that makes it 1 less die roll. So he just needed to get a crit just to try and... I mean, what would have been the defense roll? Yeah, it would have whiffed his defense roll. So even just 1 success would have outright killed Gorath. But the dice just aren't being friendly to the Headsman's Curse today. No damage. That takes us to the end of the second round. And at the end of the second round, both Duval and Gorath the Enforcer are inspiring, which means they will score Recovered Poise, which I think we saw last time as well with the great art on it. Score this in the end phase if 1 more friendly fighters are inspired. I believe the Inspire step is before the scoring step. If that's wrong, do let me know. So they are both inspiring, there's no other cards being scored, and we're into the final round. Oh, and as we start the next round, Velas Von Fane and the Curseborn are bloodthirsty now. At the top of the final round, the Headsman's Curse have taken first activation. They're also spending their last unspent glory on Ethereal Immunity and giving that to the wielder of the blade. So when he's rolling defense rolls, his double success symbols count as successes, regardless of the situation. Still trumped by crits though. The Scriptor of the Sentence activated, and once again, thanks to that Cackling Nightmare upgrade, did 2 Furious Indictments, 1 on Gorath the Enforcer, and 1 on Prince Duval. From where he's standing he can see both of them, and it is within range 3. Needed hammers. He got 2 hammers against Deval, 1 hammer against Gorath. They both managed to roll double supports as their defense rolls, meaning that they both managed to take 2 damage. 1 damage. 2 damage in total, 1 damage each. For some reason I thought that was a 2 damage attack. I think I might have done that. No, I think that was the first time the attack went through, right? Or didn't. No, Curseborn got hit by it, so he should only have 1 damage on him as well. Thankfully no one died yet, because they've been missing every single attack, so that doesn't really change anything. So yeah, 1 damage each to those 2 vampires, leaving them both on 3 health remaining. So things actually go from bad to worse for the Headsman's Curse, because that scores Spirited Attempt for the Crimson Court. Because Scorvus immediately after an enemy fighter's attack action that deals damage to a friendly fighter, if the friendly fighter is not taken out of action. They weren't. So that's 1 more glory, taking the Crimson Court to 8. Phyllis von Fane activated and did an attack into the Scripture of Ascendance's back. Because she is bloodthirsty thanks to how much hunger is built up, her attacks actually have scything, but there's no other adjacent enemy for her to hit with them. Either way, she was looking for hammers, but she got single support, which does count, thanks to her Mirror Duelist upgrade that she's purchased. So that is 2 damage, meaning that the Scripter, who had 2 damage on him already and 3 health, is out of there, and that'll be glory number 9. Everything is falling apart for the ghosts. The wielder of the blade activated and swung that giant executioner's sword at Gorath the Enforcer, scoring a crit and a hammer, both successes. Gorath actually did get a success on his defense, which counters the hammer, but the crit still gets through for the massive 3 damage that executioner's blade, Terminus is called, did. And thanks to the Scripter dealing 1 damage at the top of the round, they were actually able to kill one of the vampires, and it was the first vampire that died last time as well. So that scores them 1 glory, putting them at 4. Well, the turn in fate happened, but I think it happened a bit too late. Next activation for the Crimson Court was Curseborn, who just did an attack into the Bear of the Block to try and take off that 1 health they respawned back with, and he whiffed. He was looking for swords on 3 dice. He got 2 single supports and a hammer, and his Vampiric Might upgrade does nothing to fix that. So yeah, he whiffed. Oh, he actually did a charge, sorry, I think I didn't mention that. He was 1 or 2 hexes away, so he did a charge on Subjective 3. Well, it was very much a go big or go home moment for the wielder of the blade. He activated again, did a charge to go after Deval, losing a die to that Vampiric, Deathly Majesty upgrade, meaning he just had the 1 chance, was looking for that crit, didn't get it, got a single support which does nothing, so that's probably their chances of ever catching up gone right there. Oh, the dice today. So Deval activated as the 3rd of 4 actions for the Crimson Court. Attacked the wielder of the blade on his inspired side. He's rolling 3 dice, needing hammers, so the only success there is the hammer. And of course, the wielder of the blade gets 2 defense dice, which is kind of rare, needing dodges, and didn't get any. Oh wait, but I forgot about his upgrade. Rolls of that are successful. Never mind, I was going to say some damage got done, but no, that actually was a success because of that ethereal immunity. So he avoided 2 damage, which was almost half his health. So that's not too bad. Well, there isn't much that the Bearer of the Block could do, because at most he could do 2 damage, but he swung into a nice Curseborn just because. And of course he actually got a fantastic roll, both successes, one of which was a crit. So he did do 2 damage, which puts Curseborn at 3. He had 1 health left, and that's their game. They just couldn't do enough. The dice were just so against them. And just as a final stab in the back, or not even the back, the front I guess, Valis von Fane did a charge round the scenery there, attacked into the Bear of the Block, got a single success on the hammer there, because she counts half successes thanks to her upgrade. Wasn't blocked, so he is out of there again, and as a result that's 1 more glory, and that takes us to the complete finish. And it was a little bit of a stomping. So in the final end phase there actually was 1 last score, nothing for the Headsman's Curse, they just did not have the right cards, but Superlative Skill I believe scores as a result of Von Fane's activation there. Scorvus immediately after a friendly fighter's attack action that takes the target out of action if it contained only successes, which it didn't, or the friendly fighter has no wound counters, she was at full health, and no hunger counters. She removed the hunger counter she had, which was 3, when she got the kill, which is the most I think you're allowed to remove. I'll just double check. Can remove 1 or more. I don't know, actually can remove as many as you like. So that is going to be 1 more glory there, putting the Crimson Court's final score at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, playing a paltry 4 from the Headsman's Curse who have done a lot better than this usually. But what can you do when every single die roll, whether it be an attack or a defense roll, until the final round of the game is a fail? That's the first time that's happened, like to be so consistently bad dice rolls for one side. And it wasn't good. It did not feel good to fail every dice roll. But I guess that's the way it goes sometimes. Thank you very much for watching. I sincerely hope you enjoyed and are looking forward to more Warhammer Underworld content on the channel. Please do show your support, and if you want to go above and beyond to support the channel, please consider becoming a channel member or pressing the thanks button on a video you'll especially liked. It's all reinvested in the channel and helps keep this possible. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Ta for now.